Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto. Grab your favorite time of the day applicable beverage. It's time for the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. So two things real quickly before we start. First off, when I said that little end bit there, I kind of felt like I was channeling Casey Kasem just a little bit. Let me see, it would be like, grab your favorite. It's time for the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. Yeah, there you go. There's my Casey Kasem. The other thing is I have found that in my video podcasts, very often I'll make some just sort of off the cuff, unscripted, unplanned, well, actually the whole podcast is kind of unscripted, but unplanned comment, just sort of a throwaway. And inevitably, that winds up getting the lion's share of the comments on that particular video podcast. And last week, it was me having the trouble saying, grab your favorite breakfast beverage. Wow, I almost got it out smoothly there. Grab your favorite breakfast beverage. It's time for the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. I just thought I'd try it out as a different intro. And the number of comments I got saying, well, you could try saying breakfast drink, or you could say morning beverage, or since you don't know what time of the day it is when people are watching, just say drink, or just say beverage, or just keep the intro as it is, which may be what I wind up doing. But I just wanted to see if I could actually pull it off this week. All right, let's take a look at what we have on my list of topics. Probably the first thing I'll start off with is there's going to be a little bit of a change in my plan, my schedule for this month. This week was going to be an episode of Pragmatic Keto, and it was going to be all about glucose testing, blood glucose, continuous glucose monitors, sort of where we are technologically right now with that, where we are in terms of availability, how applicable it is, why I do it, why I don't do it sometimes. What kind of threw off that whole thing was my tortilla experiments. If you didn't watch that series of videos, it's easy enough to find. Maybe I'll link to it at the end of this video. But it has me really trying to wrap my limited cognitive abilities around glucose testing and the importance of it or lack thereof. It's just, a lot of what I was expecting to talk about during that episode of Pragmatic Keto got a little bit turned on its head as a result of some of the testing that I did. And it's something I want to be able to think more about. Also, I recently, through the Levels Health program, got the Dexcom G6 sensor. I had been using the Abbott Labs Freestyle Libre, for the past year or so, and now I'm part of their beta program, so I got the Dexcom. And I've been using that, and I'm only 2 days into that, and I wanted to include that in the video, kind of show the difference between the Dexcom and the Libre, in terms of how you apply it, the interface, etc. So that episode of Pragmatic Keto may push at least another week, possibly two. I'm not sure yet. Which brings me to another little topic, which is apparently there has been some other keto YouTuber who started, I'm not going to say started a rumor, because maybe she was experiencing difficulties getting a hold of sensors, but I contacted my sources at Levels and Abbott Health or Abbott Labs. There is not a shortage on continuous glucose monitors. There is not a situation where people like me who do glucose testing in videos are stealing monitors from diabetics. That's simply not true. Any of you can validate that with a phone call. It's not that hard. Granted, it is kind of difficult sometimes to get insurance companies to pay for these monitors, but that's an entirely different story. And I may touch on both of these things again in that episode of Pragmatic Keto. Let's see here as we segue. This is less about shortages. You know what? Let's talk about shortages a little bit here. It seems like the last couple of years, it's been just one shortage after another. And I question how much of this is legit, how much of it is just a panic that was created by somebody. And I've mentioned in previous podcasts, there's a line in Men in Black, and I'm going to paraphrase it. I probably won't get it right. It's something like, persons are smart or persons are intelligent, but people are stupid, panicky animals, something like that. And I think what happens is, in many of these instances, all you need to do is create a perception of a shortage, and then people just hoard. We saw that with toilet paper and Purell at the beginning of the pandemic. But, now we've got, the baby formula. Fortunately, we're past that, and my grandson is past that. Tampons, I guess, and, we're also past that as well. So neither of those have affected the serious keto family. But I thought, would it be fun to create our own shortage? Who would we want to mess with? Like maybe the tofu eating people? Like if I were to suggest that, I was at the grocery store the other day and I was looking for some tofurkey sausage patties and they were completely out. And I went and I talked to the people and they're like, oh yeah, we can't get anything tofu. And then all of us can just sort of start getting out onto social media and just sort of casually saying, yeah, I was at the grocery store, no tofu. See if we've got the power to create a shortage or hoarding of tofu. Nah, let's not do that. I don't want to mess with the market at all, but still fun to toy around with ideas like that. Now, the one thing that has been affecting me, or is about to affect me because I'm very low on egg white powder, is the price of egg white powder. Good gosh, that is just skyrocketed. People, quit making the protein-sparing modified fast bread. You're driving up my prices. Quit eating meat too. Maybe what we need to do is convince more people not to go keto. So that meat prices come down and the prices come back down on the egg white powder. Yeah, that is nuts. And just when I found a recipe from Indigo Nilly that I'm like, wow, those hot dog buns are great. In fact, I need to do another batch. I got out onto Amazon and the prices for a bag, it's like $80, $90 or more for a bag of egg white powder. Crazy stuff. But this kind of brings me back a little bit to the whole cost of keto argument that sometimes people make. Well, keto's so expensive. I really look at keto as, well, I look at health in general as a pay a little now or pay a lot later scenario. We can pay a little now on slightly more expensive things that we put in our body, or we can pay a lot more later, both in terms of medical bills and just our overall quality of life later by not taking care of ourselves. So I guess I can live with the price of egg white powder, so that I can have some hot dog buns this summer. So I noticed as I looked at the screen during that first segment that the camera was not quite where I wanted it to be. I think it was aimed a little bit high and a little too far in. I kind of look like a little boy there. So I adjusted the camera for segment number 2 of the podcast, pulled it back, re-angled it, hopefully looking a little bit better. I've also, and I'm sure you've noticed because you're also very observant, I'm continuing to play around with the lighting. I got rid of that really harsh one over on this side. I kind of like this little backlighting thing. But I've also been playing around with the white balance. So for those of you who are photographers are probably familiar with this. This is just a white card, and what you do is you take a picture of it and then your camera adjusts the white balance accordingly. And one of the things that I struggle with very often in the videos, well, there's a few things. First off, I've got a bit of an oily complexion, which I'm hoping is a good thing long-term in life, that it keeps me not wrinkly. But that means that light very often bounces off of it and makes me look shiny. The other thing too is I sunburn fairly easily, and it seems like as I've played around with white balance, I either look more sunburned all the time or things just get overly red. So sometimes it's too white, the light is too cold, and I think that makes me look very pink. This is not important. Let's move on. So I'd mentioned earlier that my schedule was going to kind of change around a little bit this month. I already mentioned pragmatic keto changing. The other big thing that's going on is at the end of this month, from the 22nd through the 30th, my wife Terry is going on a extended biking trip across the state of Iowa with Courtney. I know I don't think I could pull off riding a bike for 7 or 8 days across the state of Iowa. But like I said, I wish them the best. I hope they have fun. But what that means is I've got the place to myself. I don't have to worry about cooking for anybody. And to me, the biggest challenge for doing any sort of an extended fast is having to be the cook, or getting to be the cook. Let's spin this positively. I enjoy cooking, so I get to be the cook. But it's very difficult to cook and then not eat. I've done this before on some extended fasts. So in the past, I've done some videos. I did a 48-hour fast, I think a 72-hour fast, a 100-hour fast, and I think I was shooting for a 5-day or a week fast, and I cut it off because my Keto Mojo blood ketone and glucose monitor, my readings scared me a little bit. I got just way high on ketones and pretty low on glucose. I did a little research, realized that I didn't need to be concerned. It wasn't as bad as all that. I wasn't going to become ketoacidosic, or if that's an adjective, but it was all good. Anyhow, I've wanted for quite some time to do a longer fast again and really kind of test out autophagy. So is it a thing? Is autophagy going to be effective for me on an extended fast? Because what I have found, and autophagy basically is your body's recycling of cells, getting rid of dead cells. The healthy cells consume, the dead and or weak cells. It's supposed to be great for your skin and maybe take care of this, what I got going down here, which is even after 3 years, I still just have this dangly skin down here, and I'm not proud of it. I mean, I feel I'm okay looking without a shirt on from about rib cage up, but right, down here, just right down along the belt line, I got this sort of skin apron that just 3 years, it has not gone away. 3 years, I exercise, I do intermittent fasting, and it's still there. And I kind of feel like, I'll try an extended fast. I'll see what happens. I'll see if that does anything to tighten things up for me. And if it doesn't, then I either live with it or I decide, surgically, do I want to get rid of this extra skin that's hanging out down there? It's one thing if you got like extra skin in your arms. I can always like lift and, maybe fill that out and stretch it back out with some muscle. Not a lot you can do down here. And, I had done a video where you haven't seen it, thankfully, where I was doing planks without a shirt on, and it looks awful. I mean, it looks like I've got an udder just hanging down, just dangling down there in my belly, and that's kind of sad because I can actually, if I were to like stretch the skin, back, you can start seeing some abs. So it's just all, skin. So that's why I'm going to be doing the extended fast at the end of the month. And what that means, see, eventually I get to the point of the story. I can't be doing any cooking videos that week or product reviews if it's a food item, which generally they are. So I need to get enough product review and food stuff recorded prior to that week that whatever I do that week, I could just film like maybe a couple of weeks worth of podcasts or something like that during that week, or do some sort of a live stream. I'm definitely going to do a kickoff video for the extended fast because I've had a lot of you ask, when are you going to do an extended fast again? Can we be part of it? Can we do it all as a group? So I will definitely do that. And then probably some interim videos over the course of the 7 or 8 days, however long I make it, where I talk about how I'm feeling, we can give each other encouragement, and then how I'm breaking the fast. That didn't come out real smoothly, how I'm breaking the fast and easing out of it, because I had learned from some of my earlier fasts, you definitely want to ease out of it. So that's sort of what's coming up for the rest of the month. And I think we'll take another brief little break. Another question I've gotten several times over the course of the last week, well, not several, somewhere between a few and several, is what's going on with the 30-day challenges? Are you still doing those? And the answer is, I'm at the very least, I'm taking a little break from them, at least in terms of making videos. And the reason for that is twofold. First off, I don't know that they necessarily belong on this channel, on Serious Keto. I think, and I think I mentioned this at the outset of doing them, is that they would probably fit better on my other channel, Lean Body Mind. And what I kind of feel has happened as I've reflected on this channel, Serious Keto, is I don't want to dilute the content. I think it's important as a channel or as a content creator to have a certain degree of consistency. It makes sense to try new things from time to time and see if they work or not, and if they don't, you pivot. But you need sort of that core consistency, or people start to wonder, what is this channel all about? So, I've got the cooking videos, and I'd love to get to a point where I can move up to 2 per week, a product review once a week, and then the Not So Serious Keto video podcast, where I can cover, just my life in general, sort of family stuff, things like that. And whenever I'm trying to decide what to do with the channel, I'll think about, what if it were some other chef that I like, or cook that I like, or celebrity? So Alton Brown, for example, who I don't like as much as I used to. I used to really like him a lot, but, I feel like he's gotten a little bit grumpy. I'm probably I will in a few years as well too, so I can't blame him. But I still use him sort of as the benchmark. Like, I like watching his cooking shows. I liked in Serious Eat when he'd talk about products. He would go to the equivalent of Bed Bath & Beyond and buy a product and show it to you. So, I enjoyed that as well. He would talk about different ingredients and things like that. I like that. So, to me, that's sort of like my cooking and reviews. And then he had, for a while, a podcast as well. And he would talk sometimes about cooking, and he would talk sometimes about things just going on in his life. And to me, that's sort of what the Not So Serious Keto video podcast is. So I feel like if he then did a video series on soccer or football or fly fishing or something like that, I'd start to think, oh, wait a second, what's going on with Alton Brown? This is not, this doesn't feel right to me anymore. And as I was looking at the 30-day challenges, while I was trying to keep them sort of health related, it didn't feel like it was the complete right fit for me. And it got not a whole lot of views. So I'm putting in the effort and not getting the return. And that effort could be put into something else. It could be put into doing kitchen experiments or creating other videos that are more keto specific. So likely what I'm going to do with the 30-day challenge is maybe it's in August that it starts, that I move that over to Lean Body Mind. And I know that it won't get viewed as much as it gets viewed here. And I've had people say, well, I don't want to subscribe to 2 channels. And, understandable, that's fine. But to me, I feel that it makes more sense to kind of separate my content and put specific things where it's more applicable. So I hope that makes sense. That's why the 30-day challenge is kind of on hold right now, and why I haven't done any videos on it. And this also allows me to do a little bit of a segue. This has been a great show, I think, in terms of being able to segue from one topic to another topic fairly smoothly. And that's in the whole chasing metrics category for content creators. So as a content creator, I know some of you get bored when you hear about this content creation stuff, but others of you are very fascinated at looking behind the curtain. So I'll try and make it interesting and relatively quick. But we get to see so much in the way of analytics, to the point that it can be paralyzing. And I know that there are some content creators out there that get just way, 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 way deep in the weeds and worked up about it and concerned. And then what happens, and you can see this in various content creators, is they start losing their direction, their compass. They start trying too many different things. It's not just a case of, well, let me try out a 30-day challenge video series and see if it resonates. they're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. They're abandoning keto. I've seen this in some keto channels where they're like, okay, I'm not doing keto anymore because I'm not getting the views, or the views have been, just steady. They're not ramping up. So I need to expand or do whatever. And I'm not a chase the metrics sort of guy. I would rather be sort of a gut feel sort of person. And that's why you will from time to time see, I'll try out a different video or try out a different style and see if it works. But I'm not going to be constantly pivoting, and I'm certainly not going to stop keto. This is something too that I think is going to make a great pragmatic keto episode, which is sort of a refresher on why I went keto, why I stay keto, why I think that keto is a lifestyle, not a diet, but also sort of what I see as the future of keto. I think there are a lot of very interesting things going on within the keto community currently. I think some of the things that have been discovered, Dr. Jason Fung has been doing some stuff, I guess, on the impact of apple cider vinegar. I've had some people talk about meal sequencing and the order in which you eat various macronutrients, and the role of allulose in potentially blunting glucose responses. These are some interesting concepts that I think could change the face of keto. Maybe it becomes not keto anymore. We don't call it keto. I don't know. If we start looking at what are the long-term goals health-wise, is it to stay in ketosis? Is it to manage blood glucose? What is it? Is it to eliminate inflammation? If I can stay in ketosis and manage my glucose and not cause inflammation, yet still eat bread, because there's some way I can trick my body through, consuming allulose or apple cider vinegar, or the way I sequence my meal, suddenly is that okay? Or does that anger, the super, super strict keto people, and we can't call it keto anymore? I don't know. I think we are reaching an interesting point in the keto universe where keto has reached a size that a lot of curiosity and a lot of experimentation is going on with people infinitely smarter than I am. And I sense that we're going to see some more changes in the keto-verse over the course of the next year. And that's something that I'm looking forward to. But to me, I think the feeling of, so again, long circuitous route to get back to the main point, which is I will be staying keto in one form or another. Because to me, whether glucose is important or not, I haven't fully figured that out yet. I know that being in ketosis feels good to my body. It feels good to my brain. It, I think, makes me look better. It makes me feel younger. And I don't have inflammation. And I don't want to give this up. So whatever little changes you wind up seeing in this channel, over the life of this channel, which I hope is forever, one that I can say with a great deal of confidence is you're not going to see me bail on keto. That's my promise. And with that, I thank you for watching or listening.